Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most important economic books of our time to investigate a massive mystery. Why does wealth always seem to pile up at the very top? Let's get into it. So, get this. The wealthiest 1% of people on Earth own nearly half of all global wealth. That's a truly staggering concentration of resources. But the real question is, how did we get here? To get to the bottom of that, we're going to follow the detective work of economist Thomas Piketty. He embarked on an incredible journey, gathering data from over 2 centuries to finally solve this very mystery. But first, before we get to the big breakthrough, we have to look at the cold cases. The early economic detectives who tried to crack this puzzle with the limited evidence they had at the time. First on the scene, we have Thomas Malthus. He was writing right after the French Revolution, and frankly, he was pretty convinced humanity was doomed. He believed population would always grow faster than our food supply, basically trapping most people in poverty forever. A little later, David Ricardo pointed the finger at a different villain, land. He argued that as society grows, land, the one thing we can't make more of, would become incredibly valuable. So landlords would just get richer and richer, squeezing the prosperity out of everyone else. His solution? A big old tax on land rents. And then, of course, you have Karl Marx. He saw a powerful engine inside capitalism itself, something he called the principle of infinite accumulation. It's the idea that capital just naturally wants to concentrate into fewer and fewer hands, leading to let's just say an explosive conclusion. So Malthus, Ricardo, Marx, these guys were brilliant, and they each saw a piece of the truth. But their theories were like trying to solve a mystery based on a few blurry photographs. They didn't have the whole movie. They were missing the crucial data. And that is where Thomas Piketty reopens the case. He and his colleagues went on a data-gathering mission that was just completely impossible for those early thinkers. They built what is probably the most complete historical database on income and wealth ever created, piecing together tax records, estate filings, and national accounts from all over the world. So why was France so important to all this? Well, it's because the French Revolution, in its push for legal equality, accidentally created the perfect crime scene. They set up an incredibly modern and detailed system for recording every single transfer of wealth. And that gave Piketty a continuous, perfect record of who owned what, stretching all the way from 1791 to today. And right here, this U-shaped curve, this is one of the first major clues the data revealed. It shows the value of capital compared to national income. You can see it was incredibly high back in the 19th century, then it plummeted during the wars and the Great Depression, but now it's climbing right back up to those same historical highs. The type of capital changed for sure, from farmland to stocks and real estate, but its overall economic power is back. So after combing through 200 years of evidence from dozens of countries, what did Piketty finally find? What was the smoking gun behind this constant rise in wealth inequality? The whole investigation really boils down to the relationship between 2 fundamental forces. First, you have R, which is the rate of return on capital. Just think of it as how fast existing money makes more money from things like investments or rent. And then you have G, the rate of economic growth. That's how fast the entire economic pie is getting bigger for everybody. And this right here is the smoking gun. Piketty discovered that across history, across all these different countries, the rate of return on capital has almost always been greater than the rate of economic growth. So what does that really mean? Well, when R is greater than G, it means that wealth inherited from the past grows faster than income that people earn from their labor today. It's a really simple formula, but it has a massive consequence. It acts as the central engine driving the concentration of wealth. Okay, so if that's the engine, what kind of world does it actually create? What does a society governed by this powerful little formula really look like? Well, take a look at this chart. It's wild. It compares the standard of living for the top 1% of inheritors versus the top 1% of earners. For most of the 19th century, it wasn't even close. Inheritance was the path to the top. Now, that gap closed for a bit in the 20th century, but look at what's happening on the far right. Those lines are splitting apart again. We're heading back to what Piketty calls a patrimonial society. And this brings us to a world that 19th century novelists like Balzac knew all too well. His characters understood that, sure, hard work and talent might get you a comfortable life, but if you wanted real, lasting wealth, a massive inheritance was pretty much the only way to get there. So what do you do about such a powerful, automatic force? Well, Piketty proposes a solution that's just as big as the problem: a coordinated, progressive, global tax on capital. Now, even he admits this is a utopian idea because it would require a mind-boggling level of international cooperation. Ultimately, Piketty's investigation reveals that extreme inequality isn't an accident or a glitch. It's a fundamental feature, it's the default setting of capitalism. His data has shown us the engine. And that leaves us with a critical question for the 21st century. Now that we understand the formula, what kind of society are we going to choose to build?